Good morning, Liz. How are you?
I'm good. I just plugged in my
Good.
headphones now, so can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
I'm
Happy
doing good.
Monday.
Yeah, to you too.
Yeah.
Happy to be back.
So happy to have you back. Yes, so glad.
Despite the fact that when I went through story time with Bonnie on the replay, I was like, I would like this every night. Maybe we could just the more and more I like work with adults, I'm like, I've always thought like, oh man, adults need what kids need. And like now I'm like, adults should have story time read to them when they're
Story time, totally. That was actually
right.
so much fun for me to do. I feel like we should make that like a regular,
Yeah.
semi-regular thing, when we find readings that we like. It was, so
So
sweet.
good. Yeah. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to have everyone here today. Whether you're
Mm-hmm.
here live or watching the replay, let us know that you're here and where you're joining from. We're super excited to just see all of you. Hope that you are having a beautiful morning, evening, day, night, wherever you are. And yay, so exciting. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
So exciting. And today we get to talk about identity. And I had been listening to something and I was talking with Liz about this and I was like, wow, this would be such a great topic for one of our sessions. And so we just decided to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And incorporate a big part of what you and I both do individually, but also through the program, which is journaling, which, as you were reading last week, I was like, oh, wait, there's like these different parts we incorporate, we can bring different parts of the program to the live, and I hadn't really thought about that fully. Yeah.
Yes,
so,
I love that. So
if you hadn't read that, by the way, just make sure you grab a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a journal or a book, but just a piece of paper and something to write with.
Perfect. Yes. Yeah. And really sort of the premise behind today is kind of getting at, the core of our identity, because as, beautiful souls that experience anxiety on the planet, right? We carry a lot of labels, and sometimes what happens is we really take those labels on as our identity, right? And I know for myself that has often been how it is. Like, I'm just an anxious person, right? But when in reality, it's, anxiety is an emotion that comes up. It does not define who I am at the core of my being, right? And so, we're just going to kind of dive into that a little bit today and get a little creative with this topic and see what we come out with on the other side. So excited.
Yeah. And the journaling will help us really see the difference. So without saying much more, Bonnie, why don't we jump in? So with your, Bonnie's going to do it and I are going to do it alongside you with your utensil.
Your writing utensil.
Back to school days.
Totally. Grab your utensil.
and your writing pad. And just go ahead and make so if you have a sheet of paper, create a column and title it identity or my identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do that alongside you. Great. So maybe something like this. Well, wait, can you read that or is that backwards for you?
No, I can read it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's perfectly. Yeah, you're like
never.
Yeah, totally.
Never any clarity around that for myself. All right. So let's just take a couple minutes together. And we want you to come up with just, it doesn't have to be one word, but as many single words as you can think of that what you would use to describe your identity, right? So put yourself in the place of meeting someone for the first time and then them telling you or them asking you, hey, just shoot off a bunch of one words that give me a sense of who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Your identity. So take that kind of into your body and then just write whatever comes up, okay? But more like a list than like writing it out, okay? And we'll give you a couple minutes for that.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have that Jeopardy music on.
I know. I know. I'll try to find some music for this one.
It's fine. Or you can just, sing to us like you've done in the past.
Oh, there. Here's some good tunes.
Thanks. Ooh, a little loud.
Is it loud?
Just for a minute there. This is harder than I thought it would be.
I know. Well, I think too for you and I, because we kind of know what we're getting at. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you're finding this is hard too, welcome.
Yeah.
Adding good things. Kirsty, I think this is from your perspective, just FYI, in case I might have your comment wrong, but when you said who you spoke to, this is what you would define as your identity, right? If someone came in and asked you for your identity, what would you say, right? So like mom being one of your identities, as we know, right? I don't know if that's helpful. What do you think, Bonnie? Like 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. Which side of me you spoke to? Gotcha. Okay, good. Stick along with us, Kirsty. Well, we're going to see how this breaks down here in a minute. Bonnie, what you got?
What you got? I've got my whiteboard. Like,
nice.
Okay, I know. So for me, in thinking about this, and of course you and I have talked through this, Liz, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the things that I come up with for myself are mother, teacher, wife, friend, anxious person, coworker, dreamer, love sparkler, nurturer, worrier. Those are my top words. And it was kind of harder than even after we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I thought to kind of come up with some things. How about for you, Liz? What did you have?
I had some similar words. I had like woman, sister, aunt, but then I also had student, friend, educator, adventurer, caregiver, daughter, leader. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even add woman onto mine. That's a big one.
Well, you can always add.
I know, right? I can always add. Those are good.
The changeable document. Yeah.
Totally.
So, share some of yours that you each came up with just in the chat that you're comfortable with sharing if you'd like to share, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what we're going to do. As you share, if you'd like to, go ahead and create a second column next to your identity column. And we're going to ask you to label it emotion. Here we go. Okay. Go ahead and label it emotion. And then look down in your list of your identity, right? And see what you have in relation, or I should say, see what you have in your list that you might also label as an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have something labeled an emotion, just feel free to share that or move it over to the column of emotion. And we'll talk to you about why. But you can share that and or move it over to your column of emotion. So Bonnie kind of talked about this at the very beginning, if you caught on. But anxiety is an emotion, right? And the way that we work with it and look at it and struggle with it and learn to listen to it and try to love on it is through its own identity as an emotion. Right. So to separate it out as your own identity and turn it into the category of emotion is a huge step into understanding how to then break it down and work with your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see what Kirsty has to say here. Opinionated worrier. Odd, unique, compassionate mom, sweet, bubbly, friendly, good communicator, anxious, caring, kind, thoughtful, self-destructive, loyal, lonely, sad, sincere. These are great. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is great, right, Bonds?
Mm-hmm.
So really, this is showing how you're viewing yourself in terms of your identity, right? Yeah. So just for a minute, take anything that you could label as an emotion, right? Sad, right? And move that over to the emotion category. All right. And this is hard to break it down, but what we're trying to get you to do is realize your identity isn't an emotion. Okay.
Right.
And if you think about, like, if I were to look at Bonnie and describe Bonnie, right, from my perspective, right, just to her identity, oh, tell me about Bonnie, the woman that you worked with. I'm not going to be sharing with someone else her emotions or what I think of as her emotions, right? I'm going to be like, oh, she's an educator, she's a really interesting mom. She's a scientist. You didn't put that on your list, Bonnie. It's like one of the first words that come up in my mind, right? Oh. So thinking about how you would describe someone else as their identity, right? They're a mom. Oh, their daughter to so-and-so. They're a strong woman. They're, or a woman in general. Bonnie, a scientist, you're a teacher, right? You're a student. I know Bonnie right now of multiple things. Right. So beginning to kind of separate out our identity from our emotion, right? Bonnie, I'll let you jump in. Sorry.
No. It's great. It's great. And we'll give you another 30 seconds or so before I hop on into this next bit where you're just kind of considering this and moving it over.
Kathy says mom, wife, teacher, friend, tree hugger. Ooh, I like that one. Horse woman. Yes. You don't look like a horse, Kathy. You love horses. Right? And Beth, I'm going back to like my mythology training, right? Where you have like the centaur. Empath, no emotions. Oh, Kathy, I'm curious what that means.
Yeah, maybe just no emotions on that side of
the list. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good call.
So one aspect of this that we've been really considering is that when we take on emotion as a part of our identity, so, depression, right? I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm lonely, or I'm sad. I'm a sad person, right? Instead of using the word, feeling, right? I feel anxious. I feel depressed. I feel sad. I feel lonely, right? Our brain has all of these files that we can access that tie into those emotions, right? So if you're waking up in the morning and one of your first thoughts, which this has definitely been me before, is straight to anxiety, right? Or straight to depression, or straight to sadness, or straight to loneliness. Your brain's going to follow that train, right? It's like what we were talking about a few weeks ago. If you are driving in the same, path in your backyard over and over again and turfing your grass, like those ruts are going to get really deep. And so if you're waking up and you're feeling, you're just identifying, your whole identity with anxiety or depression, your brain's going to go straight there and it's going to start pulling all of those files out from your brain files, right? Oh yeah, this was a time I was depressed, anxious. And that's what it continues to just perpetuate, those ruts, right? And so part of this separating out of our emotion from our actual true identity of the core of who we are, right, as human beings, is a way that we can start focusing our brains and shining that light and attention on things that we want to bring into our life more, right? Mm-hmm. And we have files for those things as well, right? Happiness, peace, joy, calm, patience, right? And when we can identify what the things are that we want to bring more into our life, separate out these emotions as being who we are, right? You are not a depressed person, right? You experience depression. You feel depression, right? You are not an anxious person. That's not who you are. Anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness, all of those things do not define you as a person on the planet, right? They're an emotion. And so sort of wrapping our brains around this concept, right? If we can wake up and, all right, so we might be feeling anxious, right? This was me for a long time, right? I'd wake up and the first thoughts I'd have are, oh gosh, I'm going to have an anxious day, and just cascades from there. But if I can pull from my file something that's positive, to me, joy or happy will start going down and pulling all of those files off the shelves, right? And I'll be then creating these new pathways in my brain towards more peace, more love, more joy, more calm, the things that I really want to bring in, right? And use to balance out, because again, anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness, the anger, right? They're all important parts of us. And that's a huge part of this process, is just honoring them for being here, right? And knowing that they do not define us, right? And that, life is a roller coaster of ups and downs. Sometimes we'll have those really high moments, and sometimes we'll have those really low moments. It's just part of being human, right? So yeah, Liz, did you want to say anything more about that before we?
Yeah, I just think, if we could each take one thing from our list that either, we knew we needed to move over to emotion, or you would say, I feel this emotion. So anxiety would be a classic for all of us, right? Mm-hmm. But you could take, worrying, you could take sadness, right? And write down these two lines, right? I am a sad person. Mm-hmm. And then right underneath it, I feel sad, as an example, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just choose one for yourself. I'm going to use the sad one as an example.
Ooh, those land so different in my body.
Holy exactly moly. What I wanted you to experience. Awesome, Bonds. Yeah. So look at those two lines, right? And here's where you could do my body's going to a meditation on this, right? Because meditation is all about getting it into the body, right? Feel how different those, if you look at them, or if you want to close your eyes and say them each to yourself, notice how they feel so extremely different. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about the truth, right, that sad is an emotion, is when you label it as I'm feeling sad, that invites the awareness that things can be different, right? And it encourages creativity, right? Something I've struggled with a lot, because I've moved around so much in my life, is a sense of belonging, right? So I told myself this story that I'm kind of an oddball, Christy, right? I don't fit in, instead of saying I feel like I don't belong, or I don't feel a sense of belonging, right? Well, when I say it that way, it tells me, oh, well, there are things I can do to find place. In fact, I was just working on it this morning to find a sense of belonging. I reached out to a Facebook group of hikers and mentioned, hey, it's getting warmer. Would anyone, I'm still fairly new to the area. Would anyone be interested in hiking, right? And I got tons of responses, right?
Oh.
So that's different from saying I don't belong, right? Immediately, just because I recognize the emotion of feeling that way when I woke up this morning, right?
Yeah.
I recognize the feeling, and the curiosity invited me to seek an action, right?
Right.
That then's going to have me feel different. So I think if we can notice our moments of anxiety or notice something, and especially when we're telling ourselves, and I do this a ton, I'm sure Bonnie and all of you do too, where I tell myself like I'm not worthy, or I am this emotion, right?
Yeah.
If you can just go, ooh, I'm doing it, right? And then just change the language and see what pops up as an option for you, for a next step, for an action. And if it doesn't right away, that's okay. But sit with the words of I feel this, right, to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, when I read out loud in my body that I am an anxious person, right, it feels so heavy. And I think so much of that too comes from, again, like all the cultural conditioning that we've talked about and the conversations around mental health, because we label people as depressed or as anxious or as whatever it is, right? And then we take that on as our identity, when in reality, in actual reality, it's not, and so when I read like I feel anxious, it's just like I can feel like a whole lift off my shoulders. It just feels so much lighter, because again, you're right, Liz, it invites an opportunity that, and the recognition and acknowledgement that there is other things that I feel. There are other emotions that come up for me, so yeah,
absolutely.
It's huge shift.
I love that comment, Kirsty.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's cute.
Oh, that is beautiful.
I assume this other commenter is Jackie, but I can't read your name.
Oh, you know what? I can't either. Friendly, good communicator, anxious, Carrie. Yeah.
So just try that on this week, or even just today. I think it's one of those things it's a hard shift, but if you commit to, like, Bonnie and I are big proponents of, if you want to exercise, try 5 minutes. If you want to invite something new into your life, try 30 seconds of a mindful technique versus like sitting for meditation for 30 minutes, right? Just try it on today, even walk around and say out loud, like, right, like, I feel this, right? I feel this now. I feel this. And note all the things that you feel on both, on all the spectrums, right? What we would consider negative, positive, that I consider just feelings and very human. And give that a shot, and so we thought, we leave you with just, we could breathe together. And I think what we can do is just take a moment to feel through what we're feeling today in this moment, whatever time of day it is for you, and then commit to maybe a mantra for just the day, right? That starts with, I feel, right? Here, Kathy shares a quote I just heard this weekend: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Oh, that's awesome. Curious who that's from, Kathy.
So good.
What do you think, Buns?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of breathing should we do today?
Ooh, I know.
So many choices.
So many choices and options. Yay, it's true. I've really been leaning into just the different techniques that I shared over the workshop time of either the box breath or the in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8 breath. So one of those might be nice.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you lead us through a counting breath?
Okay.
And then I'll transition into just a little bit of closed-eyed so we can start open-eyed.
Perfect. Okay. So let's do box breath today. That's what I'm feeling. Great. And that's the awesome. Is that okay?
Yeah. Awesome.
So we'll breathe in for a count of 4 and then hold for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 4 and then hold for another count of 4. Okay. And we'll just do a few rounds of that, and then and then you can close us out there, Liz.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me too, a mantra that I've been holding a lot lately for myself is just I remember. I remember that that there's, other parts of me, right? I remember that my
Mm.
anxiety does not define me. I remember, and it just
Mm.
triggers my brain to be like, oh yeah, I have other files to pull down,
Mm.
not all anxious ones, right?
That's so
So,
true.
yeah. Okay. So you can either, I'll draw it with my finger to start
Okay.
so you can follow along. All right. So we're going to take a big, just cleansing breath. Okay. We're going to go in for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Hold for 4. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Hold for 4. One last one. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Hold for 4.
Beautiful. Let's just close our eyes. Thanks, Bonnie. And as we lower our gaze, just as a community here, just take a moment to allow your body to breathe for you now. As it so kindly does for us. And open up your awareness past your body. Just allow yourself to become aware of the space around you. The room and the air beyond the room, the sky. And as you breathe here, simply notice the light across your eyelids. The sounds you can pick up from our end, from your end. And for just a moment, allow your attention to be louder than your thoughts and see if you can pick up all of this light and sound in one breath. And on your next exhale, come back to the body. Placing your hand over your heart. Simply notice what you feel today. Honor wherever you're at, whatever emotions are popping up. And as you hold your heart, feeling all of these emotions, knowing that these feelings come and go just as a thought. They are not who you are other than making you purely human. And that our work and strength lie in fully feeling all of these feelings, allowing them to flow in and out of the heart, in and out of the body. And then choose a feeling that you've felt before that you appreciate, a feeling like joy or wonder or awe. Maybe in your mind's eye, you can even bring yourself back to a memory, whether recent or long ago, where you felt this joy or awe or wonder. And with your hand on your heart, simply repeat to yourself, I remember. I remember. I remember. I remember this feeling, this moment. It will too come and go again. And let's take a long inhale through the nose. You can allow your hand to rest back down on your legs. And out the mouth or the nose. And as you continue to breathe in whatever way you like, just allow yourself to move your fingers or toes or wrists. And we can slowly open our eyes back together. Mm-hmm. I liked your I remember, so I took us there instead.
Oh, thanks, Liz. So beautiful. Well, we are so happy to just be here with all of you today. We'll be really excited. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit further into this and sort of talk about, you know, the differences and similarities between emotions and feelings and the areas where we kind of use them interchangeably and the areas where we can do this same kind of processing to separate out into the feeling body. So it's going to be a little continuation of our conversation today. And we're so happy to just have all of you here and feel really grateful and honored just to be in this space with all of you, and hope that you have such an amazing day, evening, wherever you are on the planet. And we'll be really excited to hear kind of how this landed for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a great day.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.